guys, Marissa here, author of The Rise High Investor. Really glad to be bringing you another one of these weekly investor tips videos. I hope you're enjoying them. I'm getting really great feedback, so I will keep going and hopefully keep bringing you value. Today I am answering the million-dollar question: will property prices continue to double every 10 years? What a big question that is, and it is definitely one that I do get asked quite a lot, and I would like to try and address that in this video if I can. Firstly, let me start by saying that I am human and I can't predict or foresee the future. I do need a crystal ball for that, which I don't actually have. But what I did want to do instead is actually focus on what has happened historically, talk you through that, talk you through some of my ideas as to what I think is going to happen, and hopefully that will give you some information for you to form your own opinion of whether property prices will continue to double every 10 years. So I guess I wanted to take a look back at history, work out where we've come from, and I think that's always a really good indication of where we're going. So history, over the past 60 years, Australian property values on average have actually doubled every 8 to 9 years. So that has been pretty consistent, but that is a long-term average, okay? So what that actually means is that, over the past 60 years, sometimes it's taken 3 years for the property values to double. Other times it's taken up to 15 years for the property values to double. So obviously there has been a long-term average over that period, which has given us around 8 to 9 years, which is how we've come up with the concept that property values double every 7 to 9 years. So is that theory correct? Well, yes, it has been historically correct that property prices have, on average, over the long term, doubled every 7 to 9 years. Every 7 to 10 years. But it's really important to note here that the increase in price value is not consistent and not smooth year after year, and definitely it can be different in different locations as well. So what you might see is 1 year you might see a 20% increase, and then you might have flat for 3 or 4 years. It really just jumps around, and it's not consistent, and it doesn't have a smooth flowing chart. So what we need to be aware of is that it is a long-term game. It is basically having to hold the property long-term to achieve those growth values that we're really looking for, and that's the important factor. So from my perspective, I believe that you need to be holding the property or planning to hold the property for a minimum of 15 to 20 years to ensure that you're really getting the full value out of that doubling and making sure that property is growing in value as much as it can grow in value during your life cycle. So I do believe that property values will continue to grow, and the reason why I believe that is because the fundamentals that have supported property growth over the last 60 years still exist now, and even probably in a bigger way exist even more. We've got a lot of pressure on demand for properties with a growing population and changing demographics, meaning that we have less people per dwelling, and we also have a shortage of supply, and that is going to continue to be the case moving forward. So I do believe that the supply and demand fundamentals will support continued property growth in Australia. Will it double in 10 years? That's something that absolutely nobody can answer, but I do believe that it will ultimately double. And that's what we've seen historically, that sometimes it has taken 15 years to double, but the reality is it still has doubled. So from that perspective, I believe that as long as you hold it long enough, it will eventually double. And the main aim of the game is to make sure that you're managing cash flows, that you can hold the property long term and long enough to see that doubling effect. And I also believe that, some of you might be thinking, oh, what's the point if it's going to take 15 years to double? What's the point, or how am I going to predict it? But I actually still believe that even if it takes you 15 years rather than 10 years for that property value to double, the money that you're going to make on that property over that period of time is still going to be much more money and still be far greater than what you would have done with your money if you just sat it in a bank and let it sit there for 15 years. So ultimately, you'll still be ahead, you'll still be in front. Make sure when you are buying your properties that they are good investment grade properties in metropolitan cities. Don't look at, don't look at the risk areas like regional. Try and look at the low risk areas that have really good tenant demand and are really, really good characteristics and really good investment grade properties, and hold them long term, and you can't go wrong. So I hope in a roundabout way I've given you something to go with on that question. Obviously, like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but will properties continue to double every 10 years? I'm not 100% sure on the answer to that, but will they continue to double? Yes, I do believe they will continue to double. Do I believe it's a really good investment property strategy? Yes, I do personally believe it's a really good investment property strategy, and I believe that if you're in it long term, you will be rewarded. So that's all we've got time for today. I hope that's been of value. I would love to hear your comments, questions, thoughts. If you've got some light that you'd like to share, if you'd like to shed some light on the matter, I'd love to hear that too. You can either leave a message below, or you can contact me directly at propertyinvestor at risehigh.com.au. And as a thank you for tuning in, you can actually get a 50% discount off of my book and get it for $14.95 on the Rise High Investor website, which is risehighinvestor.com.au. And all you need to do to get that is to enter in the code video2018 to get your discount. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.